What's up, fight fans? This is Kurtaville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Daniel Dubois and Deontay Wilder. You know, since Dubois has faced his first professional defeat, a lot of people have blasted him, and the number one thing came up with other fights that he could have possibly had other than Joyce. And one comes to mind, no other than Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, because we heard guys, promoters like Frank Warren and others say that Daniel Dubois would knock out Deontay Wilder in one round. And my thoughts on this is, Wilder himself fighting Daniel Dubois it's still a dangerous fight. Just because a guy lost a fight to another guy doesn't mean that same thing can't happen. Now, will it normally happen? I'm not sure. But Wilder is a guy, first of all, Wilder is not Joyce. The styles make the fights. Okay? We know Joyce's chin, but you have to question a lot of these top heavyweights' chin. Okay, they can all be hurt. Joyce is an anomaly. All right, I think he's a mutant, part British, right? But he can definitely take a punch. Now, the thing is, Daniel Dubois, that doesn't take away from his punching ability. Daniel Dubois just went in there and couldn't hurt a guy that he's normally used to hurting other guys in the past. He couldn't hurt this guy, and I think that really discouraged him. Now, would that happen to Deontay Wilder? Could he take the young, fresh, hungry, I don't know how hungry he is now, fighter's punch from Daniel Dubois? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing I will say, if Daniel Dubois, I've seen him knock people spark out in 1 to 2 rounds. See, what people don't understand, Wilder, Dubois, these guys have been beaten for the first time this year. 2020 has been a mother sucker. And one thing that I do know, once someone gets beaten, it seems like the floodgates open, that everybody can beat them. Oh, he couldn't possibly beat this guy now because he got beat by that guy. You hear it all the time. Now, the funny thing about that is, let's look at the similarities. Deontay Wilder, does he jab constantly? He paused with jabs at times. But does he jab? Does he do the same thing that Joyce does? No. This comes down to game plan. Joyce's game plan was different. Okay? It was a constant jab. He wanted to stay working, consistently popping the jab because he had the reach along with the height on Daniel Dubois. Not much of a height, but he definitely had the advantages in that area. And he was able to pepper that jab and swell that eye up, okay, and keep busy. Now, does that seem like anything Deontay Wilder would do? No. Deontay Wilder is a knockout artist. He's a guy that goes in there, he looks for that one shot, that one perfect shot. Not a jab and then, hey, maybe in time the guy will swell and then he'll quit possibly by the swelling or something. No, Wilder doesn't do that. Wilder doesn't even have that mindset. So when you hear these channels saying, oh, well, Wilder couldn't do that to Dubois or this, that, and the other, look, you're talking about a totally different fighter. And I know guys will say, oh, well, Daniel Dubois couldn't possibly beat Wilder. Wilder wouldn't go in there jabbing like Joyce jabbed. He wouldn't have that mindset. He would very well go in there to knock out Daniel Dubois as very well as Daniel Dubois goes in to knock out him. Daniel Dubois, all of it, basically the 15 fights that he's had, over half of those fights, he's knocked people out in 1 to 2 rounds. If not 1 to 2, 3 to 4. Facts. So if these guys fought just because he took an L from Joyce that came in with a game plan that worked, doesn't discredit him from knocking someone else out when he comes back into the ring. See, we have to remember that. See, Daniel Dubois is a young guy at that. A young, hungry guy. And you think if he got Deontay Wilder hurt, you think he wouldn't go to finish Deontay off? Deontay doesn't do anything magnificent when he gets hurt, but clams up, shells up, puts his guard up and take the punches. Incoming punches, here we come. He's tough, I get it, but at the same time, he gets these punches and he takes these punches from these guys. Look what happened to Ortiz. We know Ortiz was a little older. He was a lot older than Deontay Wilder, right? Or should I say he was older than Deontay Wilder? Because Deontay's, what, 30? Well, he was 33 when he fought him. Now he's 35. So 33 and then 34 when he fought him the 2 times, years. But Ortiz was in his late 30s. He gassed out. Do you think Daniel Dubois would gas out if he got it? Deontay Wilder hurt like that? Now, who's to say Daniel Dubois won't get knocked out by Deontay Wilder? Okay, well, that all depends. But again, Wilder doesn't go in there with that type of game plan. So before these guys get started, oh, well, you know, people saying that Dubois would knock out Deontay Wilder, they're delirious now because he got stopped by slow Joyce. It has nothing to do. One fighter, Joyce, has nothing to do with Deontay Wilder. Okay, because they both got beat. The question is, can they both come back from the defeats? Right? Counterpunch. Wilder got beat now. Will he be the same? We don't know. We got to see him fight. That's the truth. Will Daniel Dubois be the same? We don't know. We have to see how that eye heals if it was broken in the first place and to see how he's able to recover and who he goes back into the ring with. Will they start him with someone novice or will they start him with somebody back on track? Who knows, right? But saying one fighter, because it just shows you how much of a casual these guys are or people with an agenda. Because you have these channels who'll come on there and say, oh, well, you know, this guy said he'll beat Wilder. Oh, they're crazy. You know? No, they're not. Because those 2 guys still haven't fought yet. And in fact, they both lost. But one thing about Dubois, he didn't have to make shit up at the end of the day on why he lost. He got beat. The better man won. That is what it is. That is what they say is that. But Deontay Wilder, Daniel Dubois, is that still a good fight? Hell yeah, it's still a good fight. As long as these guys are still active. The question is, can they recover? Can they recoup? Right? Can they make adjustments now? Because both of them, you know, one's a lot younger and one's a lot older. They were both pretty much on the same scale. Okay? Just different arenas. Wilder's at the world level. Dubois was not. Both knockout artists. Both was used to knocking their guys out, right? So they got a lot in common. That's why I think they were compared together. Dubois was trying to ascend to that next level, but unfortunately, he goes back a notch. Wilder has failed from grace until he can prove himself. It is what it is. But can Daniel Dubois hurt or knock out Deontay Wilder? Well, if he hurts him, he knows what to do. Why? Because that's what he's used to doing. Now, here's the flip side. Can Deontay Wilder knock out Daniel Dubois? Oh, I'm pretty sure he could if he hit him with the right punch, the punches that he looks for all night. That's Wilder. That's what he does. Simple, though effective. Right? Except for one fight, the one he lost. And it doesn't take anything away from Dubois' chin. He didn't lose like people thought he lose. He wasn't chinny. He didn't go out like that. Okay, not to say I would want him to take Wilder's punch or to say he can take Wilder's punch. What I'm saying is there were different factors when it comes to a loss. Not excuses, just ways you lose. And that is all. You guys tell me what you think about the critics of Daniel Dubois stating that he couldn't beat Deontay Wilder because he was beaten by Joyce. Of course, please subscribe, leave your comments below, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.